Hello there, my Bio 112 class. My name is Vanessa Aragon. I am your instructor. So I actually look forward to meeting you next week. Normally we would have lab on Monday. Today is Monday. We weren't having it the first 2 weeks, but next week I will see you on campus for lab. So the purpose of why I have all of this food out is to go ahead and illustrate and help you with your classification lab 3. So with your classification lab 3, I have it up here. Your exercise 1 is general classification, just looking at as far as the animals, the coyote, woodpecker, mosquito, and it has it listed in its taxonomic classification in that chart. And you answer the questions according to what we call unity and diversity. So unity is the unification, things that they have in common, right? And diversity are the things that they have diverse. And so, as you look here, here is your taxonomic classification, starting with the most general, and which is also called the broadest. That would be your domain. And then it goes down kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Species is your most specific, okay? There are 3 domains. We have ourselves a bacteria, we have ourselves a archaea, is how you say it, and then eukarya. So you got a chance to go ahead and look at these in previous labs as far as your bacteria piece. Your bacteria and your archaea are both made out of prokaryotic cells, so thereby they are prokaryotic organisms. Please make sure you understand the difference between prokaryotic cells and the prokaryotic organisms that make them, that are made from them, and the eukaryotic cells that make the eukaryotic organisms. So you have, I don't know if I'm pointing to the right one, animal, plant, fungi, and protista. And protista, I'm cheating a little bit here. As you can see, what I'm showing you are 4 kingdoms. It is only your eukarya that has kingdoms, okay? Your bacteria and your archaea, they have other groupings. So they don't have what is called official kingdoms. They have other types of groups. So with that, protista, to say that they are the 4th kingdom, they are actually getting away from that, but I believe your textbook is still calling it that, but I think they kind of back and forth. They really consider them more of a multi-kingdom, but here's the deal. Taxonomists can't agree. They can't get it straight. So, yeah, so that's kind of the whole point of teaching you all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. So looking at your lab, so exercise 1 is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and go to exercise 2, the food classification. Normally, if we were to be in lab, I would pull out a bunch of organisms and a bunch of samples, and we would just look at them and we would try to work them in some type of dichotomous key. A dichotomous key is a way of looking at the morphological and even physiological, mainly the morphological features of certain organisms and separating them and trying to figure out if I can get down to the most specific, where one item has characteristics that all the other items don't. And so we're trying to separate them. Those are early ways, and they're still usable ways, but now that we have DNA, we have other ways. But so those are early ways to separate species and try to illustrate unity and diversity. Unity, the unification, is similarities organisms might have together, and diversity are differences that organisms might have. So I decided to go ahead and make it fun. You got items in your pantry, and those items come from living organisms at one point. So I actually chose 11 items because I wanted to get one more in, but I only told you to choose 10 items. So what I got here, I got eggs. Oh, shoot. Haha. So I got some eggs. I ate the rest this morning. I have some peach juice. I'll tell you about this as I go through it. I have some salmon, beer. This is protein, but it is whey protein. I don't know if you can see that on there. And whey comes from cows. So it comes from milk. Milk comes from cows. Got some coconut milk. Not really milk. It comes from coconuts. I have some chocolate almond milk. Obviously, you see what I like. And I have some regular almond milk. I purposely put both of these out. I thought it would be great as you're trying to make your dichotomous key. You have yourself pineapple, spaghetti, yogurt, and mushrooms. Okay? So, first off, in table 1, choose your items. Write them down and write what organism they came from. Now, I get it. Some of these organisms come from different things, more than one thing. For example, your yogurt. Your yogurt comes from cow. I don't want to use it for that. I'm going to say this is my example of bacteria, because in order to ferment the yogurt, in order to make it into yogurt via fermentation, lactobacillus, which is a bacteria, is going to do that. So this is going to be my bacterial example. Okay? Alrighty. This is another example. It's starting to puff up because it's hot in my house. That's why. Peach juice. Now, I'm looking at this. It's 0.5% of juices of natural flavors. That's all of nothing. You know what peach juice is really made out of? It is made out of high fructose corn syrup. So this I'm going to put down as my corn example, because corn syrup comes from corn. So there you go. So you just need to fill out that chart from the most general, which is the domain, all the way to the most specific. And you're like, where do I get these answers? There's this awesome place called Google. Yeah, so Google your answers. Guess what? I don't need you to cite your references on all of those. It's all good, okay? All right, next, exercise 3. Exercise 3 is how to construct a dichotomous key. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my whiteboard. Try not to knock that beer down. Oh, by the way, I don't drink beer. That's my dad's beer. My son graduated 4 years ago, and that was the last beer left over from when he graduated. Yeah. Anybody want it? Because it's still sitting in my fridge. But luckily, I got a chance to get some use out of it. So, all right. What I'm looking at is how to construct a dichotomous key. So when you are, I'm going to make a little bit of room here. Let me scoot my silks over, because those can still be seen. There you go. Got my silk scoot over. I definitely don't want to knock this down and break it. All right. So it gives you an example. I'll just go ahead and show you my iPad. I don't know if you can see. It gives you an example dichotomous key. The thing about a dichotomous key is it's like a yes or no, okay? Is it this? And then if it's no, you head in one direction. If it's yes, you head in another direction. It's almost like doing 20 questions, okay? So my first thing is I'm looking around at my items. As I look around at my items, I see almond milk, coconut milk, I see fruit. So I see stuff that comes from plants, and I see stuff that doesn't come from plants. Now, I can't say, does it come from plants? Does it come from fungi? I can't do all of that in one step, okay? So what I'm going to do, my first step, I think I'm going to go ahead and just say, does it come from plants? Or is it a plant? Let's get us a better marker. I'm just going to put plant with a question mark on it. Okay, get myself a little box, have myself an arrow for yes, an arrow for no. No, yes. Now, what I've done is I've separated my plants to one side and everything that's not on the other side. That way I can just look at it. So what do you got? You got plants, Yes, direction, I'll be dealing with this stuff. No direction, I'm going to have to do more work to continue separating those out, okay? So, with that, we're looking at this. We got some corn, we have wheat, pineapple, okay? So, coconut, and then we have 2 almond. So with these, I think I'd like to separate them out according to some things that I know, that wheat is a grass and corn is a grass. Okay, so if you didn't see the last video, what makes up this juice is high fructose corn syrup. So I chose to write it down that it was corn. Okay, so maybe that'll be the next step that I do. Oh. So plant, yes. I'll put, is it a grass? Question mark. I'm going to put yes in this direction, no in that direction. Just like such. Okay? Alrighty. So the next thing, I need to probably separate these out according to what I know wheat and grass to be, I'm using wheat and corn to be different. So, gosh, I mean, I'm trying to be very general here. So if it's a grass, then I'm going to go ahead and, is it yellow? How about that? Does it have a yellow, does it have yellow seeds? There we go. Because corn, the corn that you eat, that's yellow, and those are the seeds of the corn. I understand that I'm probably giving you some knowledge that you didn't know about, but you know, you could be very general and look at separating them a little bit differently if you need to. So, yellow seeds. But this is how you would see a dichotomous key work. Yellow seeds, I'm going to go ahead and put yes. And then over here, no. So, that is my last thing. Yellow seeds. Boom. I'm writing on here corn. And then over here, no. My last thing that I have is going to be wheat. Boom. Alrighty. So on my schematic dichotomous key, it's a schematic, I have now pretty much separated out 2 of my organisms. So I'll probably just put those out aside. So from there, what I would do is it a grass? Now I need to work on these guys, okay? What I purposely did, because I have almond milk and almond milk, I purposely set it so I can separate them out according to color. That way it'd be the same, but kind of different. So that way the almond milk is the unity, but the color gives them diversity. So if I were in real world making a dichotomous key, at that point, obviously the color is for a different reason, but at that point, say you had 2 ladybugs, and the ladybugs were of the same species, but they had differences in color. I'm sorry, they were of the same genus, but they had differences in color. I would determine, and other things, but I would determine that they are of different species. Now you notice I stuttered on that. I'm like, and other things? Well, because before the use of DNA sequencing, using it by their physical characteristics and separating out was pretty much the tool that they could do. Their morphologically, so as far as their structure and such, their physiology, they would look inside, see how things worked, their ecological. And so ecological, you might have, like, for example, 2 different felines, right? But they don't live in the same side of the world, and they don't work the same. Maybe one is nocturnal while the other is diurnal, which means one is active during the day, diurnal, and the other one is active at night, nocturnal. All right, so how I would do these other ones. So specifically, is it a plant? I think I'm going to go ahead and go to this list. I'm going to knock out some stuff. And I'm going to knock it out in a different way because maybe I don't know bacteria versus what's in beer? Yeast. But what I do know is, ooh, I probably should have done that from the beginning. Dang it. Instead of choosing plant. Yeah, right now this probably should have been the first thing that I did, but I'm not going to re-record. But both of these are microscopic. So I could have started my schematic dichotomous key asking if it was microscopic. And then I could have went yes, no on those sides. So see how many different options there are. So I don't want that to confuse you, but let you know that you have options and how you do it is right. Now, the one thing that could make it wrong is if you say, is it yellow or green? That's not a yes, no. You have to make it a yes, no. Is the organism green? Yes, no. You can't put, is it yellow or green? Okay? That would be the only way to make this schematic dichotomous key incorrect. Alrighty, so I have some fungus, which is yeast. I have other fungus, but guess what? It's not microscopic. I have myself some salmon and all that good stuff. I'm not going to go through my whole thing, just giving you those good examples. I'll hold up my board one more time so you can see, just like such. All right, so your next assignment is to use your schematic board to make a numerical dichotomous key. And the numerical dichotomous key is just basically a list telling you which way it's going to go. Say you didn't get to look at this. We use this a lot in the field, a numerical dichotomous key. We have field guides. And when you go to the field guide, if you're looking at, for example, an insect, okay? And you're looking at a field guide for an insect, on those numerical dichotomous keys, it might say, does it have wings? Okay? That might be a yes, no. Okay? If it's a no, it'll start going into certain sections. If it's a yes, it'll start going into certain sections. So just like on the schematic. But on the numerical, if you look on your example, which would be on page 5. Well, it looks like page 5. Let me double check. Kind of doubled up the pages there. Oh, iPads. It's not really giving me pages. It just gives me one big thing. So it's right underneath the schematic dichotomous key. And so on your numerical one, you probably cannot see this, but feel free to look at yours because that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the example where it says 1A, people who study science. Okay, well, let's go ahead and look at that. People who study science. Yes. And then it'll tell you where to go from there. Then go to number 2. Okay? So when you look at 1B, 1B is people who don't study science. And it'll tell you, so they're non-scientists, it'll tell you to stop there. Because basically they stop their key there. Because we have multi-directions, you're going to have to say, go to blankety blank. Here's my advice to you. Do one first. Get through one list first. Then go back and do the other list. Because you're going to have 1B, 2A, 2B, 3B, all the way through. Matter of fact, you're going to have longer than what this list is provided. So if you concentrate on one direction first, then you can go back, fill in the next direction. Then you can go back, fill in the next direction. So as I'm looking at this, keeping with that example, plants. Okay, is it a plant? Yes. So 1A would be, yes, it's a plant. And I would say, go to number 2. Then, is it a grass? I'm on number 2A. 2A, is it a grass? Yes. Is it a grass? Then I would say, go to number 3. And when I've made these before, I've actually put little numbers next to them in the schematic to kind of keep my focus. And so go to number 3. So this would be 3A. Is it a yellow grass? 3A, is it a yellow grass? Yes. Then go to 4. It is corn. That's the answer. Then once I've gone in that direction, I go back and do the nose. Okay? So what's going to happen is you're going to find that you might number your alternates one way and then have to go back and change it. And that's okay. Don't let it confuse you. Get one done first. That is the first thing you're going to do. So what do we get to? We got 1A, 2A, 3A, 4. That's why I put little numbers here to kind of keep me focused. Then I'm still going to stay on the plant side. Is it a plant? Is it a grass? If I say no, then it goes off into things I didn't talk about. Okay? So actually, what I'm going to do, yes. If it says no, it goes off into those because I will have already drawn this out. And then it'll start separating there. So which means you might find yourself going to 4, but these guys will be skipping to 7, right? And these guys will be skipping to 9. Don't get too caught up in those numbers that I just gave you. Go in one direction first. Make sure you're telling it go to 2A, go to 3A, go to 4A. Get that set, check them off, then go in another direction and start adding those numbers accordingly. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be confusing. Sometimes confusing can be fun. It's okay to toggle around working something out. That's how our mind gets stronger, and that's how we get to enjoy stuff like this and be a little bit nerdy like I am. So I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial, short as in what, 30 minutes? I'm excited to see everybody and meet everybody next week. Have a good day.